You ready?
نبدأ. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So as we continue to discuss the book Al-Mulaqis Al-Fiqhi by Shaykh Salih Fawzan Hafidullah Ta'ala, and still continuing discussion regarding matters relating to Al-Mirath, matter that relates to inheritance. So we'll be picking up from where we had stopped last week in the last lesson that we had, where from this the Shaykh will be discussing concerning Bab Fi Mirat Al-Haml, which is discussing matters relating to the fetus, the unborn child. Aywa.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال مؤلف حفظه الله, chapter 18, page 312, title Inheritance of a Fetus. In some cases, the legal heirs may include a fetus. In fact, some problems may arise as regards the fetus's life or death, being a male or female, one or more, etc. Thus, the ruling in such cases differs according to each possibility. Hence, Muslim scholars, may Allah have mercy on them, pay great attention to the case of the fetus as they dedicate a whole chapter for it in the books of inheritance. Here, the issue that concerns us is the case of a deceased leaving behind a pregnant woman, whether the fetus is entitled to inherit when delivered alive, or that her share is eliminated, i.e. blocked in all cases, or that such a fetus is entitled to inherit in some cases and blocked in others. As for the fetus that is uniformly agreed upon her right in inheritance, there should be two conditions.
So in the book here, he discussed concerning first regarding Al-Hamal, what is meant by Al-Hamal. So the Shaykh Hafidullah, he discussed concerning Mirat Al-Hamal, what is intended or meant by Al-Hamil concerning the fetus. So he gave like a general or give a definition of the fetus, which is concerning Walad Adamiyah, which is a child of a person, of a lady, that the inheritor have died, and that child was still inside the womb of that lady. So this child was still inside the womb, but this person had died or have left behind something of wealth. So in this case, it discussed concern that the child in that womb is deserving a portion of that inheritance. But they will discuss concerning at what stage, how to determine this. This will be discussed later, but overall, that they mentioned is an ijma, a consensus between the ulama, that fetus is included or should be included in the inheritance based if they fulfill certain basic requirements. Aywa.
First, making sure of the existence of the fetus in the womb of a woman at the time of their inherited person's death, even if it is just drops of male and female sexual discharge.
So it's considered consummation did take place in the child is actually, and that fetus as life. The fetus is there from the time of from conception. Aywa.
Second, the fetus is delivered alive and in a stable condition. This is due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he says, if a newborn cries or shows any other signs indicating life, then it is to get a share of inheritance. Related by Abu Dawood, and is reported that Ibn Hibban graded it as a Hasan, Sahih, authentic hadith. Sorry, not Hasan.
He said Hasan al-Sahih. Then Malik said Nukul Ibn Hibban, Tasihu, that Ibn Hibban that graded the hadith as being Sahih. So he mentioned a hadith concerning that this is the second of those two conditions regarding concerning the fetus. So looking at the time that fetus came into existence, and second, that they're within that time that is would be a valid time span. And the second matter to consider is that fetus, when it is born, that's actually born alive. It's somewhat alive, or it is alive. And how to determine that is alive, we mentioned hadith that is mentioned here in Abu Dawood. This hadith in Abu Dawood, that the ulama, amongst them Ibn Abdul Hadi, of the ulama in his book At-Tankih, or the hadith to be Isnaduhu Jayd, wa Sheikh Albani authenticated the hadith, and also Sheikh Shuhaib Arnaut, that in his Sunan Abu Dawood, Also, he hold the hadith mention, a hadith to sahih, the hadith is authentic, but they mentioned that the isnad, this particular isnad that is mentioned here of this hadith, that it is al-Hasan, it is Hasan, but by way of other narration is considered to be with other supporting other supporting hadith that it raised to being hadith as-sahih. So the hadith here is indicating that the child, if it is born alive, then it is included in those who are deserving to inherit. Aywa.
The signs of life concerning the newborn child involve crying, sneezing, moving, or any other signs indicating life, and it is not restricted to crying. Hence, the presence of signs of life indicates the stable condition of the newborn, and thus the second condition is fulfilled.
So they mentioned regarding concern, I think mentioned istihlal. So istihlal, regarding concerning what is defined as istihlal, where al-Khattabi, that so you have Khattabi of those who have an explanation of Sunan Abu Dawud, one of the early ones, and also Sahih Bukhari, that in his explanation he mentioned concerning that istihal, that what is meant by this is rafa as-sawt, that if the child, when upon the child borning, that it can somebody cries or raises his voice or makes some noise, then it is said to be, then that's an indicator the child is alive. But of the ulama, as you will discuss further, of the ulama who can somewhat, they put that any signs that are there indicating that the child is alive, then these are taken. So it's not just restricted to the child crying or raising their voice, but any other thing that will be done by the child to indicate that they are alive, then that is also considered and taken. Aywa.
As for the first condition, namely the existence of a fetus in the womb of a woman at the time of the inherited person's death, it can be verified by being born within the specified period of pregnancy, the maximum and the minimum period of pregnancy. As regards the period of pregnancy, there are three possible cases as follows. The first case, this is when a woman delivers a newborn alive before the minimum period of pregnancy passes. In this case, the newborn gets its share in the estate as scholars unanimously agree. Thus, when the woman...
ulama that said agree upon this, they mentioned that Ibn Hubayra in his book Al-Ifsah, that he discussed this in Ijma, اتفقوا على أن أقل مدة. So Ibn Hubayra, of those who mentioned, is an Ijma on this matter. Aywa.
Thus, when the woman of the inherited person... Thus, when the woman delivers the newborn for a period less than 6 months after the death of the inherited person, this indicates that she was actually pregnant during his lifetime of the inherited person. According to the consensus of scholars, the minimum period of pregnancy is 6 months. This is due to the statement of Allah exalted be He, in which He says, and this gestation and weaning period is 30 months. Surah Al-Qaf, Ayat 15. And Allah exalted be He also says, mothers may nurse, i.e. breastfeed their children 2 complete years. Surah Baqarah, Ayat 230.
30 months? How many years? 2.5. 30 months, 2.5 years. 2.5 years. So they mentioned that hamaluhu, that she carried a child in pregnancy. وَفِصَالُهُ 30 شهرا. So fisala, what is this? They mentioned weaning by the time of breastfeeding. So that would take, they said, 2 years. So if it is the time span is 2.5 years, and of those 2.5 years, then 2 years, 24 months is for breastfeeding. So the remaining, 6 months becomes the time of pregnancy. So you have pregnancy and weaning, all of that is 2.5 years in total. From that, 2 years is for breastfeeding, and the other 6 months then will mean that was the time of pregnancy. Clear? So that's how they come to, and that's the view that is taken by Ibn Abbas from the Sahaba, also Ali ibn Abi Talib. They mention also Uthman ibn Affan, that they're of this view regarding that the least amount of time is 6 months. And also an ijma, as mentioned by the author here. Aywa.
24 months come from?
The 24 months?
Breastfeeding, where did that come from?
The ayah that he just mentioned after. In Baqarah. Aywa.
So if the period of breastfeeding, 24 months, is subtracted from 30 months, the remaining is 6 months, which is the minimum period of pregnancy. The second case, this is when the fetus is born after the maximum period of pregnancy passes after the death of the inherited person. In such a case, the newborn does not have any right in the estate. This is because the delivery of the child after the maximum period of pregnancy indicates that the pregnancy has happened after the death of the inherited person. Scholars differ with regard to determining the maximum period of pregnancy. There are 3 options.
So they mentioned regarding concerning now trying to identify or determine what is said to be the maximum or the least time, the least regarding that pregnancy that a person might last for 6 months and a woman might deliver. Then how much also, what's the most or the longest that a pregnancy may last? So the least 6 months of the ijma, that's the least. Then what's the most that they mention here regarding that you'll mention is a khilaf, a difference between the ulama on over 3 different aqwal on this matter. Aywa.
Number 1, the maximum period of pregnancy is 2 years. This is due to the statement of the mother of the believers, Aisha radiallahu anha, who said, the fetus does not stay in the womb of the mother for more than 2 years. There is no room for ijtihad regarding the statement, as it is dealt with as marfu, traceable hadith.
And not every hadith there's a discussion between the ulama regarding of those matters discussed between the ulama, and you have even like when a hukm al-hadith or when an athar or something is stated by a sahabi, that is raised, so it's a statement from a sahabi, but it is considered or included in what is said to be, they mentioned hukm al-marfu'. So hukm al-marfu' meaning that's a statement of other than the Prophet ﷺ, but it is considered as if either Prophet ﷺ said this, or as if they heard this but didn't attribute it to him. So referred to as hukm al-marfu'. Clear?
This is because what they're saying, they wouldn't be speaking of their own words.
So that based upon that premise that what they're saying, either something of it wouldn't be expected that someone speak on this matter based upon their own opinion. So they must have heard from the Prophet ﷺ but did not reference by the hadith to him. or in case of they speak, for example, things of the unseen. So they, yes, there's of those hadith that fall into that category, but not everything, that at times you might have ijtihad. So you might have ijtihad, it may seem as if, but it may be ijtihad of a sahaba. So knowing what are the guidelines and when actually those narrations are said to be, are taken as hukm al-marfu', that also you have a discussion between the ulama on putting some guidelines on that matter. Aywa.
Number 2, the maximum period of pregnancy is 4 years. This is because when there is no legal text, we must resort to the actual cases, and some cases of pregnancy have been reported to last about 4 years.
So the first view is sanatan, 2 years. The next view is 4 years. A pregnancy could last up to 4 years. Aywa.
Number 3, the maximum period of pregnancy is 5 years. The preponderant of those opinions, Allah knows best, is that the maximum period of pregnancy is 4 years. This is based on the fact that there is no decisive proof indicating such period, so we should consider the actual cases, and it has truly happened that some cases of pregnancy lasted for 4 years, and Allah knows best.
So Sheikh, he mentioned, so overall there's 3 aqwal or 3 opinions on the matter regarding the maximum time of pregnancy. We are from 2, the minimum, that the maximum that a pregnancy may go up to 2 years. Another view that a pregnancy may go up to 4 years before she gives birth. And then you have a case regarding that, the third view, that it could last up to 5 years. That's that in today's society, in most part, that after, they said that they give, for those who are married and who have gone through the experience, that will give you like a due date. So, and that due date, as it comes, they always said that they'll induce the woman. They just induce you. So no case really go to that length. They won't go to that length. Maybe before in the past.
They couldn't induce.
Huh?
So before they couldn't induce.
I'm not sure how the system was that. You understand regarding that? Did they have a method? Like in most culture and society, they have methods of doing things. But regarding concerning inducing women, they may have a system that But they might find that if the person didn't have access to that person to induce that child, so the child will remain for, you understand, to see, is the child actually alive or dead inside the womb, you understand, it's gone to 2 years, then people in today's society thinking that that child have passed away, you understand? So the thing is that if whatever view that said the maximum, meaning that if we apply that to let the pregnancy continue until that maximum time has expired, then you can do whatever needs to be done. But in today's society, in most countries or most places, that soon after, 2 weeks after the due date, then they take action. They take action. Or 2, I'm going to say the maximum. The maximum.
They take action.
Yeah, then they take action. No, they take action.
So just to be clear, when the Sheikh makes reference to the narrations of 2 years, 4 years, and 5 years, it's not based on anything that's been recorded, or it's based on a father that. But he's saying that there are no cases, but it must be assumed that that is the potential maximum it can go to.
No.
As they mentioned.
And he said that what the Sheikh is saying that that regarding concern the numbers that are given 2, 4, and 5, that there's nothing concrete by way of text by Quran and Sunnah. So even the hadith, so it goes back to also the athar of Aisha that it seems that may be an ijtihad from her. You understand? Opinion of her, not per se a clear text. So it is goes back to maybe these numbers that are given concern the ulama of their time based upon what is those cases that they have experienced or heard of during their time. They cannot use it as that we have cases where heard of a female that she carried her pregnancy for X amount of time, longer than the normal period. So those things may be jotted, but they said it'll be not the norm. But if they have a case, so it is the Shaykh mentioned it, for called wujid arba sinin, that we have found cases, either something that he has experienced himself or come to know of. We might find cases where the pregnancy lasted for 4 years, either that is his own personal experience or something that is mentioned from others. Or maybe that's something that was mentioned, that's to be mentioned by other ulama before, not something that occurred in our time. But maybe there's cases, instances where it was recorded that the most may be 4 years. Allahu alam. So that's determined which means concerned to know that she would be left to carry that pregnancy, if you outcome that until that maximum time of reach, then action is taken. But said maximum time in our society today is 9 months on the dot.
10 months, isn't it, to say?
10 months?
Yeah, 10 months.
Hey, the maximum. Aywa.
The third case, this is when the newborn is delivered.
And bear in mind to know that those kind of cases is going to be stressful even for the mother.
Oh, terrible.
It's going to be stressful for even the family, the mother, the parents. You understand? Going for them, what is, it's stressful for them also. Aywa, تفضل.
The third case, this is when the newborn is delivered after a period more than the minimum period of pregnancy and less than the maximum period of pregnancy. In such a case, if such a woman has a husband or a master, i.e., if she is a slave girl who copulates with her during that period, the born child does not have any right in inheritance. This is because there is no evidence that pregnancy happened during the lifetime of the inherited person. Pregnancy might have happened due to copulation that took place after the death of the inherited person. However, if that woman does not have a husband or a master, or that they are absent during the period, or that they cannot copulate with her due to impotency, or for any other reason, then the newborn is entitled to inherit, as there is a proof indicating its existence during the lifetime of the inherited person.
So you have those cases also, the third case that you mentioned regarding that case where needs to be looked into further. Just a matter that needs to be looked into further. The child is there, but certain things that needs to be investigated regarding, is he legitimate to inherit? Aywa.
In this regard, Muslim scholars unanimously agree that when the newborn cries, then there is a certainty that it is born alive and it is in a stable condition. However, they differ as regards those signs indicating life other than crying, such as moving, suckling, or breathing. Some scholars view that the sign of the newborn's life is restricted to crying, excluding any of the other accompanying signs. Other scholars consider the sign of crying as well as any other signs indicating life. The latter is the preponderant opinion, as the sign of life is not restricted to crying, but it includes other signs such as moving and the like, as viewed by some scholars. Even if the sign of life refers to just crying or making any voice, this does not mean that we should exclude any other signs indicating life, and Allah knows best.
And that's the more correct view. That's the more correct view. Aywa.
So just to go back to the section before the third case, yeah?
Before the third case.
No, the third case itself.
Aywa.
So does that mean that if, for example, there's a slave girl
Aywa.
who's pregnant, she gives birth after, say, 7 months, so it's longer than the minimum period of 6 months,
Aywa.
but it's not as long as, let's just say, the threshold of 2 years, according to the ratio of Aisha. If she then, if her master copulates with her within, say, 18 months after she became pregnant, does that mean that the child doesn't get inheritance of the original? Because I didn't quite get that third example.
Well, the example you mentioned.
The example I'm giving, say for example, you've got the slave girl, yeah?
Okay.
She's pregnant from Fulan. Then
That Fulan is her master. Or she claims that she's pregnant. She's pregnant. But she's have Fulan as her master.
so Fulan is the master, yeah?
But she's pregnant.
Okay. I didn't understand that, whether she was captured from War Beauty and she was confused.
As they have different cases, so he said that's just one like an example. So you might have those cases where the matter needs to be looked into further due to certain factors. So you might find a case like I just mentioned that she was captured and given to Fulan, but and he been with her, but they found that the time that he has her and her pregnancy, there's certain that doesn't seem to be in sequence. Or you might find that her husband, for example, he mentioned that he's away in a different country. And then he found his wife is pregnant, but certain things are not adding together. So if you have cases where there's some that needs to be looked, let's use the word, that it needs to be investigated. It may come in different forms. So those cases where, yes, she's pregnant, the maximum she have crossed the minimum threshold, but and in between and not have gone over the maximum, but there's other things that put some question signs.
Okay, so that's what this is referring to.
Yeah, that was the case that they're referring to. So you have other matters, some other things that pop, some things that come into play that may need to be looked into.
Does it change with the exception of, like, for example, DNA test?
In what way? So in coming to a conclusion, so you have a case where there's some, the matter needs to be looked into, then DNA test could be of those things to come to a conclusion. So if you use that as of those ways to come to, I can give of the things that can be used regarding to clarify as to what the reality is.
How to give the fetus its share. If there is a fetus among the legal heirs, they should wait until its birth to know whether the newborn will be entitled to any share in their estate or not, so that their estate is distributed at once. But if the heirs do not agree to wait until the baby is delivered and demand the distribution of their estate before its birth, is that permissible for them? Muslim scholars have two different opinions with regard to this issue. The first opinion, the heirs are not permitted to distribute the estate. This is due to the uncertainty concerning the case of the fetus, as there are many possibilities, such as the number of fetuses. Such a matter may cause a great difference in the fetus's share as well as the shares of other heirs. The second opinion, it is permissible for the heirs...
multiple fetuses that needs to be looked into. There are multiple babies that she's carrying. So that would impact regarding how much the most that they have today on record that a woman have carried. Nine, huh? Yeah. No, so that of recent. Yeah, was there
People at 9, you hear of 9 here and there.
Okay, so we're saying 9, working with 9. You understand? So that means that is 9 other individuals to be counted as a part of the inheritance, so that, it changes things.
Depends if they're boys or girls as well.
And if they're boys and girls, so it changes things. So in one case, that those said no to delay, what is discussing the aqwal of the ulama. Tafaddal.
The second opinion, it is permissible for the heirs to distribute the estate before the child is born, and they are not obligated to wait, as it may cause harm to them. This is because some of the heirs may be needy and the period of pregnancy might be long. Thus, according to this opinion, the share of the fetus is to be considered so that there is a guarantee that the newborn gets his due share. So there is no need for delay in the distribution of the estate. According to the apparent circumstances, the second opinion is the preponderant one. Yet the scholars adopting the second opinion differ as to regards the amount or share that should be left for the fetus. This is because no one can know the actual case of the fetus except Allah. Besides, the case of the fetus involves so many possibilities, being alive or dead, one or more, a male or female, etc.
And on regarding the gender, mentioning a certain matter regarding the fetus at a certain time, yes, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at a certain point, then we're able to can detect the gender of the fetus. So at a certain point, yes, no one knows the gender of the fetus, but at a certain point, we do know the gender of the fetus. Okay, we have equipment can give us that information somewhat, even though it's still not absolute. Now, but aywa.
Undoubtedly, those several possibilities have their effect on the share of the fetus as well as the shares of those involved with him in the inheritance. Therefore, scholars differ concerning the amount that should be left to the fetus. There are 3 opinions with regard to this issue.
So there's views regarding concerning those who hold that the money to be distributed or the inheritance to be distributed immediately or as soon as possible, even before those the fetuses are born, or the lady give delivery. But a certain amount then to be put aside, those some to inherit and receive a certain portion, but how much to remain for the inheritors, aywa, or for the unborn, aywa.
First, there is no criterion regarding the number of fetuses a woman may carry. Here, the criterion is the cases of the other heirs who inherit along with the fetus. That is, if a person inherits only in some cases or his or her share is unspecified, such as the case of the aggrant relatives, such a person is not to be given anything. As for the heir who inherits in all cases and whose amount of share may differ, such a person is to be given the least share he or she may get. With regard to the heir whose share does not differ in amount in all cases, she is to be given her full share. After doing so, the remainder of the estate is reserved until the case of the fetus is decided.
It is one method, aywa.
Second, the fetus is to be treated according to what is best for it, i.e. the possibility according to which the fetus may get the largest possible share, and those inheriting along with it are to receive their least possible shares. Thus, the bigger share of that of 2 males or that of 2 females is to be reserved for the fetus, and the other heirs who have specified shares are to receive the least of the shares they deserve. Therefore, after the child is born and the case is decided concerning sex and number, etc., there are 3 procedures to be followed. The newborn gets his due share from the reserved amount, and what remains is to be distributed amongst the heirs. Number 2, the newborn gets all the reserved amount if it equals its share. Number 3, the newborn completes its due share from the shares of the other inheritors if the reserved amount is less than its due share.
Aywa.
Third, a share equal to the share of 1 male or 1 female, the larger of which is to be reserved for the fetus. The reason behind this is that it happens in most cases that a woman delivers only 1 baby each time. Hence, the ruling should be established on what happens most often. According to this opinion, the judge is to assign a sponsor from among the heirs to guarantee that the newborn babies will get their full share if they are more than 1. This is because a newborn cannot ask for its rightful share, so the judge does this on the child's behalf as a precautionary procedure.
And so when you mentioned regarding concerning the difference between the inheritance regarding whether the thing to be distributed immediately or to be delayed, then in most cases these things will go to a judge. So either between themselves, the inheritors, the family, that they'll come to a decision between themselves that will follow one of the methods that are mentioned, or it will go back to a judge and it will be the one to decide as to how to proceed. The judge will be the one to decide how to proceed and how to what to be reserved in the inheritance. Aywa.
Finally, the soundest of the three aforementioned opinions is that which involves more precaution, namely the second one. That is, it happens many times that women give birth to twins, but delivering more than one of them two babies rarely occurs. Besides, a son, a sponsor, as mentioned in the third option, may be difficult, even if it is done. Some matters may happen and prevent such sponsor from observing the assigned mission. Thus, the newborn child may not receive their due shares if they turned out to be more than one child, so their rights may be lost. According to the soundest opinion, there are 6 possibilities for the fetus. Number 1, the child may be delivered dead. Number 2, it may be only one male. Number 3, it may be only one female. Number 4, it may be one male and one female. Number 5, it may be 2 males. And number 6, it may be 2 females. These are 6 possibilities, for each is a specific case as regards the distribution of their estate. Besides, the distribution of the estate is to be according to a mathematical process for each possibility. The cases of the heirs are considered. As for the heirs who gets the same share in all cases, she is to get her full share. However, those heirs whose shares may differ in amount from a case to another are to receive the least of their shares. With regard to those who inherit in some cases and are blocked in other cases, they get nothing of their estate. After that, the remainder of their estate is to be reserved until the fetus is delivered and its case is decided as mentioned above. Allah knows best.
Aywa. So that's when the Sheikh here, or what is mentioned regarding the case concerning Al-Haml, regarding the fetus, the unborn child, or the pregnancy lady, as to what the procedures to follow regarding those cases, if they were or when they occur. Then we have enough time to do how many pages there in here?
Well, the next one.
The next one. Are we able to cover the next one?
Yeah, the next one's two and a half pages. 2 pages, basically.
أيوة طيب تفضل.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله قال المؤلف حفظه الله. Chapter 19, page 319, Inheritance of a Missing Person. The missing person means the one whose estate is not defined and it is not known whether alive or dead. This may be due to traveling, participating in a battle, being shipwrecked, or being captured by enemies, etc. Since the missing person's state is not determined as to whether being existent or not, each case of the two has its own ruling. Some of these rulings pertain to his wife, his inheritance from others, being inherited by others, being an effective heir on the shares of other heirs. As neither of the two possibilities, being alive or dead, is considered more probable than the other, then there must be a designated period until the real estate of the missing person is verified, provided a chance to look for them. If that period elapses with nothing known about such a person, this will be evidence that he is no longer alive.
So you have these masala are discussed within the Sharia that you mentioned, somewhat cited regarding that a case was said of mafqood, a person who said to be missing. Now, not knowing if the person is alive or dead. So at times that might have impact regarding concerning the person is in a relationship, married, and that person, wife or husband, is missing. So at what point then you bring that marriage to an end? So that will be so that will be discussed later in Bab al-Nikah regarding that if a person also is missing but he's in a marriage, at what point then that marriage will be considered to be annulled or ended and the other party can remarry or the likes. Then The next matter discussed regarding of the ahkam regarding a person is missing regarding concerning that inheritance. Also, it impacts regarding a person regarding right or matters regarding inheritance. So this will be discussed in our discussion. That will be the thing to be discussed in our discussion. Aywa.
In view of this, scholars unanimously have agreed to designate such a period. Yet, there is disagreement regarding how long it should be according to the two opinions. First opinion, the criterion is the estimation of the judge regarding this period. This is because the original rule is that the missing person is alive, and this is not to be overlooked except with a decisive proof or the like. This opinion is unanimously adopted by the majority of the Muslim scholars, whether such a missing person is expected to be safe or deceased, or whether he has been lost before or after the age of 90. Thus, a missing person is to be expected to come back until there is a proof that he has died, or that a period ends after which it becomes certain that he has died. The second opinion, this opinion adopts an elaborate view which implies that the missing person has two cases. One, if the missing person is most likely to be deceased, it is imperative to wait for 4 years since he was last seen. To elaborate, such persons such as those who go missing in a peril while fighting, or in a ship wreckage of which some passengers were safe while others drowned, and persons who are lost within the locality, for example, going out for prayer and never coming back, are to be expected back for a 4-year period since they were last seen. If no news about a missing person is heard throughout this period, he is surely deemed to be dead. Number 2.
Is that the first opinion that they give it up to? How many years? 4 years. So the person is considered to be missing. They give it 4 years. Then the person is pronounced as missing or deceased after 4 years.
Is that the same period with his wife as well?
They might have the same opinion, but as we get the Qawl Raji, you might have different numbers that are given. But you'll mention that the next opinion, so that's the first opinion, the time span that they give is 4 years. Aywa.
Number 2, if the missing person is most likely to be safe and sound, e.g. those who travel for trade, tourism or learning, and nothing is heard about them, it is imperative to wait until such a person reaches 90 since his birth, until it is not likely for him to be living anymore before declaring his death.
Here's the second opinion, that the person from until after the person, or give it 9, when the person reaches the age of 90. Now, so the person maybe at the time that he's missing, for example, is 20. So the case will be left for the next 70 years for a decision to be classed as that he's deceased.
Then maybe no one inherits them.
So and that so that's the second view. That's the general second view. Aywa, tafaddal.
The first opinion, referring to the estimation of the judge in deciding the period to wait for a missing person to come back before declaring his death, is to preponderate, for such a period varies according to time, states, and persons.
So what are you saying, that the judge, so the judge will be the one to decide, like they mentioned, of now, the time that they give, like Ahmed Shaki mentioned, a 1 year period, especially in our, and that was like 50, 60 years ago. So a person considered to be missing, and life can move on for those who are left, regarding concerning if he's missing and no information about the person. After 1 year, then khalas, then he's whether concerning marriage or the likes. But said that was like over 50 years ago. Now with today's type of technology, you understand, to find a person, you understand, so leave for the discretion of a judge. The judge might shorten that span based upon the time that we're living in today, in our time today, not being able to find a person in the world today after, you understand, with a different thing that you can do. So a judge, so that's the Sheikh was that, is now left with the discretion of the qadi, the judge, to decide this. Where they could go less than a year. So they could go, said 50 years ago, so I mentioned about a year. So the first view, 4 years. that in our time would be very long. In our time today would be very long. Up until 90, that's Allah Mustan.
Yeah.
So the more correct view, تفضل Sheikh, the discretion of the Qadi that might lessen those times. So my final place that is remote and a place that is somewhat much more large build up, even though everything now is, yeah, you can trace a person quickly anywhere.
Say that, yeah, in America, the intelligence system and
Yeah.
the police.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Okay. Hey, تفضل. I'm saying that also regarding the decision that yes, it's not per se will be left where it go back to the judge, but also that the judge also you have access to certain type of agency. Now I'm saying not just for the family, just that you go and try to find the person. There's other things that are there to assist regarding that. Go back to the authorities regarding they also will be a part of trying to find that person. So in our time, it will cut the time much less. Aywa.
This is because communication and transport means have made the whole world much closer, quite unlike the past. If the person from whom the missing one inherits dies within the said designated waiting period, if the inherited person has no other heirs except the missing person, all his estate is to be withheld until it is clear whether the missing person is alive or dead, or the designated waiting period is over. Scholars maintain different views concerning the issue of the inherited person who has heirs other than the missing person. The soundest view is the opinion that of the majority of scholars, that is, the heirs who co-inherit with the missing person are given the least possible shares. Thus, each heir is to be given his/her least amount, while the remainder is to be withheld. Hence, the estate is to be divided as if the missing person is alive, then as dead. The heir who is entitled to a bigger share in one of two cases, i.e. the missing persons being alive or dead, is to be given the least share. The heir is entitled to an equal share in both cases will be given his/her share in full, and the heir who inherits only in one of the two cases will be given nothing. The remainder of the estate will be withheld until the missing person's estate is verified. If the missing person is deemed dead, the missing person is deemed dead if the designated waiting period has passed with no evidence disclosing his status. Thus, his own estate and share, which he/she has inherited, as mentioned in the previous case, are to be divided among his heirs who are still alive, excluding those who died during the designated waiting period. That is because his death was determined later after the death of his heirs who are not then entitled to inherit.
That's the end?
That's the end.
Yes, that's concerning those two cases that are mentioned that may occur or sometime occurs regarding inheritance. So the Sharia also have put included these as of those things to be considered and how to apply the rulings according to those two particular cases regarding al-mafqud, the person who's missing, and second al-haml, the pregnancy. What's the what to be done in those cases, what to be done in those particular cases. So with that, inshallah ta'ala, that will end today's session and continue next week. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذا السبيل. أيوة.